Hey everybody, here at Mr. B Clothing today at 1995 Northwest 86th Street, gorgeous Clive, Iowa. Of course, we have Tim Sitzmann with me and Austen Arnaud. First of all, Tim, you gave us some socks earlier today.
I gave you some fancy socks.
You know what? I want to show everybody
can
my
you show,
socks here.
Can you show the
I'll
socks?
show mine.
Yeah, and
They're a little less risque than Chris's, but
I'm really excited about these socks,
I want the fanatics out there to know
the golf tees on them, the golf ball.
this isn't payola. I mean, this is not payola. This is because I like these guys, and I had a couple extra socks, and I said, you know. And by the way, if you were hiring one of us three and looking the way we look, who would you hire, guys, huh? Who would you hire?
Well, I'll tell you what, after I have these pretty little ladies on top of the martini glass socks, I had the first pick in the socks draft, and I went with the pretty lady on the martini.
You know, the only one worried about getting hired is the clothier. These guys got her made in the media world, and the, you know, the star on the right. It's always great to have Austen with us in our shop, and
good to be
you know, it is beautiful, Clive, Iowa. I want to let you know that next month is sale month at Mr. B's.
Oh,
wow.
So all of you might look for it after the after the 4th of July. We start our sale.
Is it the sidewalks deal?
Well, right now, before the sale starts, you might talk about Father's Day. That's this Saturday, and for all you fanatics that have a father out there, or some of you that listen and have a husband and want to buy for the kids, come in and see our staff. They'd love to fit you up, and we're here to help you. We have a lot of great service and a lot of great products.
This is where it's at.
Yes.
Well, today, Tim, we begin the much anticipated, you know, people
Is it football time?
Yeah, people, you know,
Wow.
all year long, even during the season, I'm getting emails from people that go, when's Sitzmann going to make his picks for next year?
You know, they come into the store and say I'm crazy a lot of times, but we came out pretty good the last couple of years.
You nailed it 2 years ago at
Right.
6-6, or I believe you had them at 6-6, I guess, and they went 5-7. But you know that 2-point conversion against Nebraska, you guys basically had that.
Right.
I didn't mean to bring that one up.
That was a bad one.
And then last year you had them at 7-5. They went 6-6. Most people were picking like a 3-9, 4-8 type season. So Tim, you've been pretty spot on. I mean, this is Las Vegas right here. Everybody.
We're having some fun, and Coach Rose has done a great job, and Austen was part of that start, and I think we're looking for some good things down the road.
Well, we got Tulsa coming to town.
We have Tulsa
on September 1. Now they graduate quite a bit. They got some pieces to replace on offense. Austen, why don't you give us a little bit of analysis on Tulsa, and then we're going to let Tim fire off. And my theory is here, maybe you're going to disagree with him, and maybe I have to separate you two today. And then we're going to pick the Iowa Hawkeyes as well in this segment. So what do you think about Tulsa, Austen?
They are a team, like you said, they lost a lot. Quarterback G.J. Kinney, who's with the New York Jets right now, doing their OTAs and going through that. You look at it, it's a very dangerous game in my opinion. Sort of a trap game, if you will. They're coming to Ames, which makes it a little bit better. But still, it's a team that, you know, I think we stated this morning in our video, we are a 2.5 point favorite, but, you know, that's not taking into account 4.5 points at Jack Trice. So on a neutral field, they're saying that Tulsa would beat us. So that's scary for me as a former player and as a guy who looks at this matchup. But if you look at Tulsa, they have the pieces. They're offense that can score quick. However, they haven't seen a defense like ours, I don't think, in quite a while. So I'm excited for the challenge for our defense to kind of shut these guys down, I believe.
A little bit of a scary game to start off with, Tim, but I can't imagine you picked Tulsa to win this game.
No, and you don't get better without playing better competition. And we don't have. We'll talk about this as we go through the year, but the Big 12 is full of great teams, and opening up with Tulsa is a good experience for the Clones. I think it's a wider spread than you might think. I'm a little different maybe than Austen. I think it's a 10-point game.
Oh, yeah.
I think Iowa State comes through. I think we're going to see a tough defense this year, which is what's going to make a difference. They may score on defense that particular game.
I hope so.
And that makes a big difference. But I think it's a wider spread than you think.
So Tim likes the Clones by 10. Austen, where are you going? Iowa State and Tulsa?
I'd have to say they at least win by a score. I'm not going to give them 10, but I'll say Iowa State wins by a touchdown.
I'm not going to make my pick right now. I'll save it for before the season. I like Iowa State by more than 10, by more than 2 touchdowns.
He's in shorts and a golf shirt. He's not even thinking about football.
Tulsa's overrated right now as far as what these people are doing. I'm not kidding. They're not going to be as good as what people are saying. I like Iowa State by 2 touchdowns plus.
I do too.
Let's move on to the Iowa Hawkeyes. Got to go to Kinnick Stadium.
Right.
Coming up on, I believe it's September 8th this year, Saturday. It's going to be a 2:30 kick. All right. The University of Iowa, I think, guys, in just my opinion, I don't remember an Iowa State-Iowa game, since I've been doing this for a living, that when you look at the two teams and you do all the matchups, that is more even. even Steven. I mean, I think these teams are, you put them on a neutral field, I think you're going to overtime. I mean, that's how close I think this football game is. The early odds, like Iowa, by like 7.5, something like that. Kinnick Stadium's worth 6 points. So that tells you they agree with me on the how close this, on the evenness of the matchups. Right. Tim, what do you think about this?
Well, I kind of agree with you. I think as you look at the two teams, and Iowa's going to be awful young. They have a veteran quarterback that's always a plus, and Austen knowing that from his experiences. I think the field gives them certainly a touchdown advantage. And we talk about this a lot. One, Iowa's been much better than Iowa State on the books, and they go into Ames and they lose, and so you kind of throw the records out. Well, this is a rivalry game.
Exactly.
I think Kinnick Stadium gives the edge to the Hawkeyes. I know
you're probably right.
The fans are going to go crazy. I think it's a 3-point Iowa victory. I think it's down to the wire again. Last year we know what kind of game that was. That's historic. I mean, 3 overtimes.
Yep.
Could have been anybody's game, and actually the Clones fought back in beautiful fashion and won that. And I think at Kinnick and the circumstances of what's going to happen with Tulsa, you're saying they're not so, but I think they're going to have to fight hard for that and regroup a little bit.
I'm probably being a little bit too.
And I got it 1-1 for the Clones, and I think Iowa by that time will be 2-0.
All right, Tim likes the Hawks by 3. Austen.
Okay, this is an Iowa team that, in usual years when you look at an Iowa team, they start hot. They start very fast, and, they kind of, tilt toward the end. This is going to be an opposite case this year. They have a new D coordinator. Sure, it's still the same type of system,
right? But
they have a completely made-over offense.
Right.
So I think this is going to be a team that comes out with a slow start. Sure, you have the Martin Manleys, you have the Keenan Davis kid, you have Vandenberg back, but you don't have a solidified running game. Your offensive line is going to be good, but they're going to be young. I think this team starts off slow. I think this Iowa team starts off slow. They have a lot of talent, and I think they'll hit their peak once, halfway through to the end of the year, Big Ten play closing out. I think they'll hit their peak and play better towards the end of the year, but I think Iowa State is reversed there. I think Iowa State gets them, not with a late field goal. I think Iowa State, scores a touchdown to go ahead and take the game.
Yeah. This could go either way, and me even trying to decide that. If you look historically for me, Austen, is that Ferentz seems to coach a team that's kind of under the radar much better. He seems to get those kids motivated much easier than when he's got the stables full, if you will. And the stables aren't full, but we got a lot of hungry young kids, and I think with the new coaches, you might see a different team than maybe we expect. But I do agree with you. It could start slow. And it could get better as the season goes on, and it's been the reverse the last few years.
I'll say this to close it out. I think this is a critical game for Iowa State.
It is.
I think it's a lot like last year's UConn game, where you kind of circle that game. You kind of need that one if you're going to get to a bowl game.
That was a dramatic win, if we remember.
Yeah, it absolutely was. All 3 of those non-conference games were. I think Iowa State, if you go on the road and you lay an egg and get beat by 5 touchdowns by the Hawks, that can really impact your season.
That won't happen.
I don't think it will either, but it has.
Yeah.
And I think if
Tell me about it.
Yeah. If you go in there and win in Kinnick Stadium, I think that gives you a certain level of confidence that very few victories can do. If you can knock that game off in Kinnick Stadium, you got Western Illinois the next week. That's not a good football team. Then you've got a Texas Tech team that's very beatable the next week. You could very easily start off 4-0 if you're Iowa State.
And that's got to be the objective.
Yeah, but again, I think it's a big game.
I'm certain in Paul Rhodes' first practices, that's what they're putting on paper right now. How can we be 7-5 or 8-4? Get a nice bowl bid, and that's what they're thinking. Where can we steal one? And certainly Kinnick Stadium's got to have a circle on it. It has to. And I think every year that's got to have a circle on it. I mean, that's an important game at the beginning of the season. The Seneca Wallace story of the game in Iowa City is memorable to all the Clone fans.
Our guy Jack Whitmer.
Jack Whitmer, my boy.
Yeah, and it was an unbelievable comeback. So you just don't know what's going to happen in that game, and I still. And I don't disagree so much with Austen on this call. It could go either way, but
I think so too.
I just give it the nod because of the stadium.
You guys are being a little too nice to each other, so maybe next week when we come back,
we weren't very angry.
You guys will trade a little paint here.
It was because of those socks. I decided to be nice.
The pretty little lady on the martini glass socks. Arnaud likes the Clones to start 2-0. Tim's taking them at 1-1. Western Illinois and Texas Tech are coming up, and we'll talk about that next week here at CycloneFanatic.com. Stop on by Mr. B Clothing, 1995 Northwest 86th Street in Clive. Tim, you're going to be here with open arms, I assume.
Absolutely. And remember, you're always better off being better dressed than to be underdressed. So come and see us.
Exactly.
He's not taking shots at us there.
No underlying comment there. We'll talk to you next week, everybody.